Welcome to the Swedish Gaming Dudes. My name is Johan.
I am John.
And I'm Justin.
Hey, welcome back, Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah, you started becoming our regular guest here. Are you a guest or a member yet of the?
I'm still a guest.
You're still a guest.
The perpetual guest.
Okay. So good to have you here today. And we are going to talk about remakes and remasters. Basically, right, John?
Yeah. Also, it's worth mentioning that demakes might come into the entire question.
Yeah. Sure.
Interesting topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we delve into that, what are you guys playing now? John, what are you playing at the moment?
Yeah, there are two games that I'm playing right now in parallel to one another. I started out with Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation 1, but I'm playing it on Steam with a controller. And it's kind of an interesting game. It just feels like okay. I've played a few hours into the game, and it's just a little. It's not that easy, but a Mega Man game is never easy still. But yeah, voice acting very bad. Anime intro.
Yeah, that's the one with the really famously bad voice acting, right? It's 8, right? Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, Dr. Wywee and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You can't pronounce the name correctly.
Oh, it's so horrible.
Yeah, just one take on everything.
Exactly.
Basically.
And
cool.
Yeah. The other game is, let's see here. It is, it's on the GameCube that I'm playing it through, but it's a Game Advance game. Using the Game Boy player. It's Metroid Fusion.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's one of the best Metroid games, I think.
Yeah, I've gotten really far in less than 3 hours, and it's like, man, it feels like it's not too long until I finish the game.
Yeah.
Story-wise.
Yeah. No, that's a classic. That's a really good one. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, Justin, what are you playing right now?
The Lego Horizon Adventures.
Oh, nice. Is it good?
It's really good.
Yeah?
Actually, it's way more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah?
I played this mostly because I love the Horizon franchise.
Yeah.
I just came off the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster.
Yeah.
And they really capture the Horizon essence in a childish way, but not too childish. It's I never really liked the Lego games I played before, but this one is really fun.
Nice.
Awesome.
It looks amazing. Like the graphics for like with that Lego style, it looks really good.
Really does.
So cool. And you also took was it Platinum in Horizon the remake recently?
The remaster. Yeah. I had to.
You had.
Yeah. So what about you, Johan?
I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 actually recently. I bought it like a year ago or something, and I got into it with the characters and the story. Really loved the atmosphere, the music, and everything. But I couldn't really get into the battle system. I know that people love it, the combat, like this, waiting your turn. It's turn-based combat style. But for me, it felt a bit slow. I just wanted a bit faster pace. But now they have patched the PS5 versions. You can have mods on it. So I'm basically playing it in God mode and just doing everything. Nothing can kill me. I can just look at something and kill a boss character, and I can't miss with my throws with the dice and stuff like that. So I'm just playing with it and having an amazing time with it because I really like the characters and the music and setting and the romance options. I'm romancing Shadowheart, Shadowheart. But I really liking the characters. I'm just enjoying. I mean, I'm cheating the hell out of the game, but I'm really enjoying it at the same time, basically.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think so. So I probably will return to it and play it like you should, But it's fun to just try the options for everything. I think it's really good game. Good game. Yeah, so so today we're going to talk about remasters and remakes and everything in between, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just to clarify to our listeners, and just we speak the same language, so to speak, how would you guys define a remastered game? What is essential to that?
That's we talked about a little bit earlier, what's the difference between remaster and a remake, because it can be hard to define. For me, like a remake is like the recent like Resident Evil games, like 2, 3, and 4. They're remakes from the ground up, with modern graphic and completely new games. But remastered is like you're re-releasing a game, but like keeping sort of the same structure in a way. For example, we got like new Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 remastered. It's like basically the same game with better graphics and more options with controls and stuff like that. So, but it can be hard to define in a way, I think. Yeah,
I agree. We basically updated all the assets in the game, all the textures and models, but not changed the core gameplay.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Just up the fidelity of it.
Yeah, exactly. I do feel myself that a remaster is the result of something that pretty much happens when you already have the base, the core of a game, and you would do something to just modernize the textures, the resolution, maybe the controls or the sound to make it visually, gameplay enjoyment wise appealing to the modern generation. Whereas a remake, it feels like you just take into account what makes up the core of the actual game, but you reimagine it completely, say like, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and remake games, where it's like you deep dive and you remake the entire game from the ground up, even to the point where you change the story maybe.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's that. And then we have the demake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And to give you guys an example, because I do remember, like, there was a few years ago when I saw that there was this game in question, Bloodborne, for the PS4, and it looks amazing. It's incredibly hard, of course, but there was this video that was fan made on YouTube where you could see that how would this scene in the game look as if it was on the PS1.
Yeah.
And it looked horrible. But I guess that if you do love that era of games where it's like very heavily pixelated, not that crisp clear, and there's a certain sense of, just you don't really know what's visually going on.
Yeah.
Because it's just difficult in that sense.
Yeah, and I think it's like so cool because today we have these like perfect realistic graphics almost, but back then, like PS1, you had to like use your imagination in a way, and I think people sometimes miss that part, even with like 16-bit graphic, 8-bit graphic. When speaking of Final Fantasy VII, for example, you could just imagine like facial expressions or the tone of the voice reading text and stuff like that. And I think some people miss that part of gaming today. Like there's this part of you that get to imagine all those things. Now everything is so cinematic and so expressive, So I think, and also the nostalgia factor. I guess people long for that sort of style again.
Yeah. I can definitely get that. Yeah.
Because one of my favorite games ever, Metal Gear Solid 1. I know when they did the first one on PlayStation 1, they deliberately used like a special facial features for the character models, like very pixelated, so you could use your imagination. They didn't want a specific expression; they just wanted something that could work almost all the time, where there are lots of dialogue and stuff like that. But that game is very famous for like incredible voice acting, one of the first, like with really good voice acting. So in a way, you use your imagination and you feel those expressions, even if they're still the same face like the whole game through for the characters. So it's very cool. Like it's sort of an art style almost, I think.
I can agree with that.
Very smart.
Yeah, very smart design choice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. So now that we have the definitions, do you guys have like good examples of, let's say, remakes? What are your top picks for actual remakes?
One of my favorite actually is a very, very new game. One that most gamers were a little bit skeptical about. They released a couple of weeks ago Silent Hill 2 remake. And it's incredible, absolutely incredible. There was a lot of like, how is this going to work? Like the original is so classic, and with the feeling, the music and everything, and the story. And the Bloober team who made this remake have made like so-so games before. It wasn't like that a AAA level in game design, but they really knocked it out of the park. It's amazing. It's like 2 times or 3 times bigger than the original. Like, you have all their areas, but it's different. They've expanded upon them. More character moments, more to the story, but still keeping it like this Silent Hill vague. You don't want it too much explained. You want to use your imagination as well. And the original composer Yamaoka is back and remixing the soundtrack, and like Michiru Ito, who does the character, he's back and made the models and everything, and it's absolutely incredible. Like, and they also really like respected the fans' wishes and have like tons of Easter eggs that only like really Silent Hill nerds will notice. But it's so much fun, and it's like scary as hell. I could play it like in small segments, and I started to feel sick, and like I have like this 3D audio Pulse Elite headset from my PlayStation 5, and I had to stop using it because it was too scary. Like, feeling like everything is around you, and like, oh my god. But it's an incredible remake that everybody like, oh my god, how's this going to turn out? But then everybody just, yes, and all the fans really love it as well.
So that's checked all the boxes.
Yeah, just all the boxes, and it did even more, like expanding, as I said, the game and character moments. And like, fans are just wow, and actually preferring now the remake to the original. So that's an incredible achievement, really. And for my money, it's maybe my favorite game of the year, actually. So yeah, it's an incredible game.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit curious regarding that game because I haven't played it myself.
Yeah.
Not the original nor the remake, but did they do anything added with a modded controller for the PS5? Did they do anything different in the updated version?
If you compare it to the original, because they changed the camera perspective now. It's like this third-person camera behind the shoulder, like Resident Evil 4 started, that big time.
Nice.
So you have a way different, when you aim with the weapons, you can use the sights and, really headshot enemies and stuff like that. And also like the melee combat is also like, you can do combos and stuff like that. And so they changed it up a lot, and also different enemy, more variety. So you have more because it's a long game, so you have to have some sort of new things. If it's a short game, you don't need as many enemies. But they have done everything to just keep it fresh, and feel modern and feel fresh, and still, keeping that Silent Hill feeling and making the town feel more alive, and the mist and the weather changes, it blows, and the mist becomes thicker, and like the music intensifies, and like it's incredible. Like an old Silent Hill fan here, I mean, I'm just struck by how incredibly well made it is. So nice. It feels very modern, but still keeping with the old style, with lots of puzzles and almost too much puzzles all the time. When as soon as you're going to open a door, you have to find like 3 keys or something like that. But it's like there's a very much like this old school feel to it at the same time. So it's a good balance with old and new, I think. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And there's a balance that's very hard to find. I think.
Yeah.
You can't go overboard with how we have to use all the new features.
Yeah.
Just because we have them.
Yeah.
You don't have to use them. You can use them.
Yeah.
But it feels like they found the middle ground.
Yeah. No, it's super fun, and I'm just so many fans just enjoying it. It's such a great time. Yeah.
Nice. That's amazing. Do you have like another pick for a good remake?
I would go back to Resident Evil remakes. I mean, the first one they did for GameCube of the first Resident Evil is incredible. Also, like all these environments, making this house scarier, and updated like character models still looks good today. Many years later, still looks good. And also preserving that Resident Evil feeling, but adding like a new character, a new like a threat. You have like this Lisa character that's like sort of this experiment. She's chasing you, and you get her backstory. Like, it just improves everything. But also keeping with this like tank controls and limited inventory, and like, but just making it look and feel incredible. It's still very scary to play with the zombies, which sounds so scary in that game compared to the other ones, So Resident Evil just keeps knocking them out, I think, with remakes, like 2 and 4 remakes now. incredible games, really. Yeah.
Nice. How about you, Justin?
The only one I can think of now is the Final Fantasy remake, just because I don't know if I've played very many remakes actually that I can think of. There is an what's it called, another Metroid 2 remake that Metroid fan. It's not an official remake.
Okay.
But he basically used all the assets from Super Metroid and redid Metroid 2 Return of Samus.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's ages since I played it, and I don't know, it wasn't finished back then. I don't know if he ever finished it or if Nintendo might have gotten upset with him. I don't know.
But they usually get very upset.
They can. So.
But like regarding that game specifically, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, that was a Game original game, and that was actually on my list because there was this version of a game that became a remake for the 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS, and it was amazing. Because it was, the graphics made from the ground up. They added the feature where you could have this melee kind of swing towards an enemy that would dive at you as of a defense mechanism, and it was just an amazing game, and the 3D visual aspect of the game made it even more better at times, whether you wanted that activated or not. And I remember it was such an amazing game with just one thing that I didn't really like that much, but not to spoil something about the game in itself. But there was this segment where it was like, you need to move towards the right, morphed into a ball, and you're supposed to navigate in this, not really maze, but it goes really fast from left to right. If this whatever thing from the left pursues you and catches up, you'll die instantly. And there you had to make these kinds of very hard, fast flicks with a joystick thingy. And it wasn't built for that. So it was really hard to pull off. And I remember struggling several times over, finished it once, and I'm like, because of that, I'm not going to replay it. But it was an amazing game in every single...
That's added in the 3DS version.
Yeah, so it was
added segment of the game, or?
No, it was Nintendo's actual official released remake that they made. Or maybe another company made it. I don't remember the developer, but it was released for the 3DS a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because I think the second, like as you said, the original is very hard also to there's no map or anything like that.
Truly.
So you really need those, as you said, Super Metroid features with maps and waypoints like that. Yeah. And it's hard. I remember the second game is hard.
It doesn't even make it better because I'm thinking about visually on the Game Boy. It's a small screen, and Samus takes up most of the screen.
I love it. It was one of the 3 games I had for my Game Boy when I was a kid.
Nice.
Tetris, Super Mario Land, and Metroid 2. So I know the Game Boy version of Metroid 2 like the back of my hand.
I don't need any maps.
So you noobs.
Oh man.
But I think it's cool, Justin, what you mentioned, like this Final Fantasy remake. I think it's an interesting take because it's almost like a remake that's also like a sequel to the original game. Like it's like self-aware almost, like story-wise, of the original game. And like remake is like used as a way of, like it's okay, it's a remake, but it is a remaking of that story. Like it's implemented in like the game itself that it's a remake, and I think that's a very cool way to do it because then the fans have, okay, we still have the original, it exists in its own world in a way, but then you have this remake in like a parallel universe almost, it feels like that, but it's a cool thing, I think. And also speaking of Silent Hill 2 remake, I think fans have that theory as well, that this is a sequel to the original, like it is also alternative universe like that. So it's a cool way to make a sequel, I think, or a remake. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember, because I'm a little bit confused here, because regarding the Metroid universe, I do believe that the first game released on the NES got a remake, and either it was Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, or it was Zero Mission on the Game Advance.
Zero Mission.
Zero Mission, yeah, that's the first game. First game, yeah.
Okay,
first Metroid game.
Super
yeah.
Metroid is more like a sequel to something.
Yeah, Super Metroid is one of the final, like, in the story of Metroid, one of the final stories, basically. Because Metroid Prime, for example, takes place before that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and but as you say, Zero Mission, like, that's the first Metroid remake. It's also very, very good. Also, lots of, like, Super Metroid features with maps and save points and more, like, health, and you can, all the action. Yeah, it's a very good control. And,
masterpiece in itself.
Oh, yeah, all the I love the Metroid games. Oh, love them.
Yeah. So, anything other like that you would like to add in terms of game titles that would be referred as a remake? Maybe we've already mentioned it, but for my own behalf, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of my choices, other than Metroid 2 Return of Samus on the 3DS.
Yeah.
But we've talked about it so many times because I love so many things about that game, and it's really it feels like it's one cohesive game when it comes to what was released back in late 2020, which is, back in Midgar, you play the first section of the game, and then you dive into Rebirth, which is like 100-hour plus game for me.
It's an enormous game, yeah.
But I just loved everything from the characters, most of the voice acting, even though that I played it in Japanese, and sometimes it just felt like they misfired a lot, but then again, yeah. And the mini games and the deep dive of the story in terms of segments, and they just did things with the Rebirth part of the game compared to the original, where they didn't tell as much from the story. That I enjoyed a lot. So those are my top two picks. Definitely.
Yeah, no, Rebirth is very good, and I think they just finished writing the script for the third game and started production big time now. Yeah,
this week, just a few days ago.
Yeah. So it will be cool to, as you say, John, with all these new story elements, how they connect everything in the end, basically, because it can be too large. I'm usually not a big fan of multiverses because it can be too stretched and you can lose some of the dramatic feeling for the story, I think. But we see how everything connects. I'm guessing Rebirth, maybe. I don't know. We'll see, but it's very good. Yeah.
Definitely. Now, remasters. Do you have any favorites for that category?
Oh, we talked about it so much on the last episode of Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it's a nice thing, with remasters like that, as you say, just maybe updating the assets and stuff like that. But just because games, you can play them, now it's more common, but you can't, usually they're stuck on a console, a game.
Exactly.
And then you can play them on the new one, but now it's getting more easier. But so remasters have a very important function there, I think. So you can actually play it on a newer console, so you can get back to the games that you really like, because they're stuck on PlayStation 2 or original Xbox,
Exactly.
When I just finished the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, and it's gorgeous. It really is.
Yeah.
Nice.
But as I felt when I played Final Fantasy X, granted I played it on the PlayStation 2, so I wasn't console locked, so to speak. But I don't know if it was actually needed, but it's gorgeous. And it's a really great game still.
Yeah.
But, so is there a limit from how old does a game have to be before it's worth making a remaster of it?
Yeah, that can be controversial.
Horizon was released 2017 on the PS4.
God. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I think it's it's up to, as you say, because I watched it at my brother's place because he loves the Horizon also franchise. And as you say, I think it cost 100 kroner to upgrade, to get, and it's so well made. I mean, as you say, it looks gorgeous and these new facial animations and everything. It's amazing. I mean, I think that's a small price to pay if you really like the Horizon games. I would absolutely pay 100 kroner to get that upgrade, But I think it can be controversial, like when it was for The Last of Us Part 1, when they re-released that for PlayStation 5, because they did a PS4 release from the PS3, and they, made it more accessible and sharper graphics. But then they made this remake, and it's or remaster, what do you want to call it? Because that's in the gray zone, basically. Because it's the same game, but it has some features from the second game, and it looks incredible. I mean, it really looks good. But that was like a full price game to buy, you know. And I think there when it gets a little bit murky, you know, what you want to call it. And do you want to pay, even it looks incredible, it really does. And if you're a fan, you absolutely should play it. But if you already played it a bunch of times, do you want to pay full price again for that upgrade? So I think Last of Us Part 1 sticks out like that compared to other remakes that usually cheaper, as we said, or But that's Sony as well. I mean, the first season of the TV show Last of Us was popular, so let's have a new edition of the first game because people want to buy that now and have that modern graphics. I think the TV show was a big part of why they did a remake of the first one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's the one in the because I think they made a remaster of the second game, but that was not so expensive. I think if you wanted to upgrade, maybe also
that was kind of cheap.
100 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So then I think it's fine. So, but yeah. So you have that sort of greedy money, Sony.
They released the Until Dawn for PS5 as well.
Yeah,
that was also a PS4 game that they remastered.
But
then they removed the original version from the PlayStation Store.
Yeah,
so,
and that's sneaky. That's sneaky.
Really sneaky.
Yeah, just taking away. Oh, you have to buy this one instead, and it's.
They did something quite the same when it came to for PC users, where the original version that was released a few years back is not available anymore because the remake is, or a remaster version is. So kind of a little bit, maybe you should just simply label it a very good way to distinguish the two on the digital store shelves.
How long before we get a GTA 5 remastered?
I think we get it before number 6. I think.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's absurd. I just want GTA 4. I love 4. Nico Bellic, he's my guy.
He's iconic.
Yeah, I want a remake of that. But yeah, I mean, one also very good remake was speaking of horror games, Dead Space. We got an incredible remake that. Was it 2 years ago or something like that?
Was it even 2 years ago?
Or was it one? Time flies.
Maybe it was one.
Yeah, maybe. But also very good, like also honoring the original, adding new features from the second game into the first game, and evolving story, adding side quests in that game, and such a cool, wonderful game. But I don't think it's sold very well. It's sold well, but not enough for the investors, I think. So they're like, are we going to do the second game? So that's the negative side. Maybe you'd make an incredible remaster, but does it sell enough? Do we get more, or because there's a criticism as well today, that there's too many remasters and remakes and stuff.
And I can understand people says it. We're getting remasters of games that are less than 10 years old.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like maybe if hardware compatibilities and whatever, if it would be possible to connect old retro systems to a modern TV, we wouldn't have the same kind of problem.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well, John. You can just play with component cables and stuff like that now. Yeah. Everybody has just HDMI, and you yourself, John, bought this box that you have to change the image and the frames and
exactly all the settings.
Just to be able to play like a Wii game or something like that. It's it's insane. It's that hard to get a sharp image from older games, from old consoles.
Of course,
today.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah,
it's definitely amazing. But for people who are stuck with HDMI, not many options there.
No.
So that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I was going to add to the thing that the remasters. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. I've only played the first one, but I just think that it's so amazing because before I bought the Pixel Remasters digitally on my Switch, I actually bought Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on the PlayStation 1 physically. And I started to go into the first game of that, and things just took too long to just level up. The enemies were difficult, and I didn't really have the patience with it. So I pretty much just lost touch with it completely, and, you know...
Sounds like me in Baldur's Gate 3. Without the mods.
But I feel like it's just so welcome here, because, you know, it might be a controversial thing here regarding the pixel remasters, where you could go into the settings and apply that setting, which earns 4 times the amount of gil or money per battle. I just feel like that is a welcome thing.
Yes.
And also 4 times the amount of experience per fight.
Yeah.
And also fast forward as you walk in the world. And it just feels like it's just a good thing, because some of these settings, when you apply them, the only thing that makes you feel like you're not really cheating is that you wouldn't spend 4 times as much time doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like this quality of life improvements. That's a very welcome addition, I think, to remakes like that, or remasters in that case, pixel remaster. I know I play number 6. 6 is my favorite. As you say, saves so much time with so you don't have to grind all the time, and you're just doing, because you're basically just doing the same thing over and over, just to grind, you know. Yeah. And it's like, come on. Especially that older games are very like grind heavy in a way.
Yes, they are.
I remember we talked about that on our Final Fantasy podcast. Like the newer games are way more like streamlined, and you don't have to grind like in the same way. So yeah. So now that's a good improvement, quality of life improvement, I think.
Definitely.
And also you can save wherever you want, so you don't have these checkpoints that like an hour in between or something, like big boss fights and just
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very good. Pixel remasters are very good, actually. Like,
They really are.
Looks good, and especially the music, like higher quality soundtrack. Sounds like we can orchestra instead. It sounds so good. So yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. I just thought of it right now, actually, regarding the Mega Man universe.
Mega Man, yeah.
Because when we talk about remakes, PSP got 2 remakes of old Mega Man games. I do remember that one of them is, I don't remember the names, but it feels like, you know, all of these heads of the various characters are bigger, and it's, you know, more of a childish aesthetic visually. And it is a remake of Mega Man 1. I haven't played it, but it feels too much like it childish for me in the way that it's off-putting.
Yeah.
But then there is the other game, which is called something Maverick Hunter or something like that, and it's from Mega Man X.
Okay. Yeah.
And that game I haven't played, but X is an amazing game.
Yeah.
So there's that. I just wish I could. I could play those because I have PSPs, but I don't want to use them because I don't like the hardware. And. Then I've actually written down 3 demakes that I am a little bit interested in, because I've just seen footage of this on YouTube and pictures online. And there's this game called Mega Man and Bass, which I believe is a Super Nintendo game, Japanese exclusive maybe, on the Super Famicom originally. And I don't really know much about the game, whether it was good or not. But I do believe there was an 8-bit demake or not, but some kind of fan-made demake procedure was made for that game, and I'm just kind of enticed to go like, maybe I should play that. Yeah. But there are 2 other games, which is the PlayStation 2 received Mega Man X7 and X8, which are just disasters. It's just, you know, the 3D aspect when it just goes like, no, it should look like that. You should just go from left to right or whatever, but not in that kind of depth where it's like you can walk in every direction and platform, it just becomes a mess.
Yeah.
And the voice acting makes it even worse. And the graphics are
Exactly. Mega Man sounds like he's 5 or something.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But anyways, Mega Man X7, X8 fans actually did the honor for the Mega Man X to X3 on Super Nintendo, where it was masterpieces and everything was just amazing. And gave it the same treatment for the Mega Man X7 and X8 games. But it wasn't officially released by Capcom or anyone who has a license for that, so it's just a fan-made, which means that, well, you could play it, which doesn't really seem legal, but you need to have a PC to get it working.
Yeah.
And I've been like, maybe I should try. I was just so enticed to try it out.
You should absolutely try it.
Yeah.
I mean, John, you buy every game, every console, everything. So, I mean, you don't have bad feelings for like, trying
But for legal reasons, we have to say he will not do it. It's only a thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So there's that.
And Mega Man has also very good collections on modern consoles, like the older games and the new games. You can buy them in like, I think 1 to 7 in one, or 1 to 6 or something like that.
Oh yeah, I gotta see here because I did actually buy 2 packages: the Legacy Collection, which is
Legacy,
1 through 6, and then there is 7 till 10, and then I believe there are 2 different collections because there's X until X4. And then X5 until... Does X8 or X9 exist? X8 does, but X9 I'm not sure. Maybe it does.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's a very cool collection. Speaking of like remasters, and you can use all like modern features, save features, rewind features.
Oh, yes.
And you can also use like, do you want like a better like frame rate? Do you want to keep the old one with all the flicker and stuff? You can choose that if you want to play like the older games.
Yeah.
And it's this like great like soundtrack collection, art collection in the game. So it can be very beautiful. Speaking of remasters, like this fan collector thing for all the Mega Man fans, because it's basically a dead franchise now, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Mega Man 11 didn't make it better.
Yeah. I never played that one, just tried a demo. But,
it was too hard, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, what I remember from it. But it's, Mega Man challenging, But it's you can get new, like that's one part of remasters as well, this collection like releases. They made one with Metal Gear Solid 1, 2 and 3, which was fine on PlayStation 5 I think, but it was less good on like on Switch. It was lagging, and it shouldn't like lag on a Switch. Come on, these older games, like so sometimes you just don't put the effort into it. Now they've patched it a lot so it works better, but it was such a strange that you had to like download each game individually, so not like a one package thing, and very strange way to set up the games. But then you got all the versions of every game, like the Japanese versions, and so you get a lot for your money, but it's still a strange way to present it to the buyer, I guess. You should just have one for every like collection, I think.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, but it's been improved now.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm thinking a little bit now about the bad side of things. Do you guys have any picks for the bad kinds of remakes, bad remasters?
Yeah, like speaking of Resident Evil, I have to say Resident Evil 3, the remake. I mean, I like it. I have to say I like it. It has good qualities. I like graphics improvements, but I know that's a fan favorite that the fans really didn't appreciate, like the remaster of, because it's so much like cut content if you compare it to the original game. And the original game had more areas, and you can also make like choices in the story, take different paths, and you have this famous nemesis character that's like hunting you. But in the remake, he's just like in the beginning part of the game, and then he just like vanishes basically and just becomes this boss character. So I remember fans being very upset with that game, but like it's too short and they miss this and miss that. So I think they listened to that when they made like Resident Evil 4 remake. It's a masterpiece.
Oh yes.
So especially with the Ada Wong DLC, it's very good as well. Like 5 hours DLC, very good. But that's one of the, like, also like Capcom, we have to make money fast. Let's make a 3 like remaster as well, and not just put the effort into it that they made into Resident Evil 2 remake. That was incredible. So sometimes it can backfire if you're rushing into it, just making a quick buck like that. You can just damage your brand and everything. So you have to take your time, do it right, you know.
Oh yeah. Great. Justin, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, released for the PS5. I was really glad. So I can finally play as Driss, the legendary swordsman, who in the game can't turn around to hit someone behind him. He has to run in a circle
oh no.
It looked really good, but the controls made it unplayable. So it is supposed to be a good game, people have said that it should be, but the PS5 version is definitely not. So I think someone dropped the ball there.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah. Oh man.
How about you, John? Do you have any bad remasters or remakes?
Not that I really come to think of, because, it feels like, sometimes I have the expectation or, misunderstood that a remake or a remastered game might not really be that. It's just a port. And I'm thinking, like, even though that I love the game itself, GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, it feels like, the Game Pass available version of the game, it is the game, nothing more, better controls, better visuals.
Yeah.
But it feels like there should have been more.
Yeah. I mean, that has something to do with Nintendo, I think. They have some weird reason sometimes. Not, you can't do this, you can't do that. We don't care, basically. And it's so strange because especially GoldenEye has this cult following. Like, and it's, as you say, just bare minimum. You can play like online multiplayer matches on the Switch, but you can't on the Xbox. It's just local multiplayer. I guess that was part of the deal somehow. It's so strange, and as you say, no effort put into it whatsoever. And that actually exists. There exists like completely like, because Perfect Dark, one of my favorite games, it has a good remaster on Xbox as well, like in this rare collection. They have like lots of different rare games, and it's incredible, like 60 frames, like HD, 4K, everything runs perfectly, because the original Perfect Dark on Nintendo 64, you could have like one bot or something and everything just lags and lags. Especially 4-player split screen was a nightmare because of the lag. And here you can play it like incredible, like in 4K, no lag, nothing. But I mean, so that's a very good way to do it. And the same company that remastered Perfect Dark started working on GoldenEye remaster as well. And I think they were like 90% finished or something with it. There exist videos of it. It looks incredible. It's like exactly like with Perfect Dark. But then Nintendo, no, we have the license, blah, blah, blah. And so they just shut it down. And the minimum they could do, if that, I mean, still existed, just finish that one. Like, the job is already done, basically. Just some small parts, and you could play, like, all the mission stages you could use as multiplayer battles. And you can be, like, 30 players or something like that. Just release that. I mean, people will play the hell out of it. Like... So yes, no, we don't like money. We don't think anybody cares. Like, there is zero sense of how gamers perceive that game. Like, no clue whatsoever. So it's a miracle that we actually have it on Switch and Xbox the way we do, basically.
It is very much, yeah.
Sad but true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did get to think about that. There's this question, which I haven't even thought about the answers yet. But if I would ask you, are there any remakes, remasters, or whatsoever that you would like to have that doesn't exist yet, or that haven't really, well, at least you maybe don't know it?
One that there's been rumors about for a few years that I would like, the Final Fantasy IX remake.
Yeah.
That's been rumored. Still nothing confirmed about it, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that could be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah.
I haven't even finished the original, but yeah.
Yeah, but seeing what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think they can do something really good with the Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
It was just a couple, like a month ago or something. The rumors started again, making 9 like that, and then just goes away. So
Yeah.
See what happens. I'm actually getting my favorite game of all time next year as a remake. It's Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. They're releasing that with like Metal Gear Solid 5 Control, but with like perfect new graphics, but they're still keeping like all the voice acting and all the like cutscenes, all the like even the camera, everything is exactly the same, but it looks incredible with modern graphics, and the environment feels more alive. And like, I mean, I love Snake Eater. It's my favorite game of all time, so it's going to be incredible to play that next year. And here's hoping they're releasing the other Metal Gear as one, like Solid 1 or 2 would be incredible to have like in a remake.
Yeah, definitely.
well-deserved remakes for those. I mean, they still look pretty good. I mean, second or third game like on PlayStation 2, but now on PlayStation 5, like HD remaster. But like the first game, we got that Twin Snake. That's a bad. Speaking of bad remakes, that's a horrible remake actually. I think they had good intent to remake the first Metal Gear game, better graphics. I mean, it's worse than Metal Gear Solid 2, and for some reason they hired a guy. A Japanese director, Kitamura, I think his name is. He like remade all the action sequences, so everything is like the Matrix suddenly, like bullet time, and Snake like jumps on missiles and stuff, like, and he survives explosions, and like it's insane. It's so over the top, and it doesn't fit the style or the story of the first game at all. It's horrible, and the music is also way worse. I don't know what happened with that remake, but that's a very bad remake, and that counts for one of the biggest Metal Gear Solid fans ever. Like, so yeah,
You should remake the Atari's E.T.
yeah.
I mean, it can't be worse. So no matter what you do, it will be better.
That would be incredible.
True.
Incredible. No, but I mean, one subject we've been in on talking about today a little bit, like fan remakes, can be so impressive. I watched one of my favorite streamers play, like before they released Final Fantasy Rebirth. It is a big fan group that remade Final Fantasy 7, but like remade all the backgrounds, like in really detailed environments. All the character models updated. They hired like voice actors for all the characters and everything. It's absolutely incredible, and the soundtrack remixed and everything. It's like this perfect like fan remake of the original. I mean, it's so cool. So I think it would be nice to see like these big companies maybe work more with the fans. Maybe if it's a good fan remake, why not release it? I mean, if people are interested. And I know, speaking of those Tomb Raider remaster that's been released now, I know they used like modders and fans that made remakes of like fan-made remakes of those games to help them out, you know, now for the re-release, because they're so used to that environment and know everything about it. So I think they should absolutely use fans more, like, and not just shun them at like Nintendo. Oh, you made that? Oh, that's horrible. We're going to sue you, like that.
Oh yeah, true.
So it's such a close-minded way to look at it, I think.
Use the assets people have made for you.
Yeah.
Just hire them. They know what they are doing.
Yeah.
So.
Why not? Why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Why not? That would be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I just got to think of those. There are these thousands of videos at this point of the same games we're talking about. You know, Majora's Mask, The Legend of Zelda, and Ocarina of Time, where there are remade, fan-made into how they would look with Unreal 5 engine.
Oh yeah.
It just looks so amazing. You know, and the difference is just that you would have the same kind of audio quality back from the Nintendo 64. But visually, it's just so amazing. It almost fills my tears with, eyes with joy to tears like that. Yeah. Because that would be a dream come true. Because I really feel like amongst the biggest masterpieces of my life, still does not look good on a modern TV, even though you would have improved hardware. But it's still limited because of, it needs to be remade, not just remastered at this point.
Talking about Ocarina of Time, or what?
Both, and Majora's Mask.
And Majora's Mask, okay.
Yeah, it feels like, they could have made it for the Switch.
Yeah.
But now that we're talking about the Switch 2, maybe how about that?
Also remake, how you played the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time. That was sort of
that was actually, for its time, it looked amazing, but the controller suffered because of the limitation, because it's a flat piece, and there's the thumb pad thing. It works, and the gyros added, is a added thing that's kind of a nice choice. You don't need to use that if you want to aim with the stick, whatever kind of a thing. But so the visuals were better, but they don't really hold up that much when it comes to today's standards, because the faces and the expressions are still kind of stale.
Yeah. That would be really cool with, as you said, like almost Unreal Engine 5 graphics. I mean,
yeah.
Hyrule Castle, Death Mountain, and like everything. Oh, it could be so cool. But Nintendo, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yes, definitely. And then I'm thinking, because I've never played this PC Classic, because I do believe that the first one was only released ever for the PC, which is Half-Life. I do believe, like, maybe if it was the second one that actually was released to the Dreamcast, and I don't even like the Dreamcast. But it feels like if you were to experience the game today, you can easily with PC because you don't have the limitations of too much differences in hardware. But I do want to re-experience the game, but it feels like it's a little bit off-putting with the old school graphics because we talk of a game, if I'm not mistaken, it was released in the mid-90s somewhere.
Yeah, you have like this. I had a friend who played it a lot, so I watched him play the whole game through the first Half-Life game. But they made this once again fan remake. What's it called? Black Mesa?
I've heard of this. Yeah,
it's a very good fan upgrade to the original. And maybe I remember wrong, but I think Valve has like embraced that remake as a good remake of the first game. Yeah. But it's strange, as you say, like Half-Life, that those big games haven't been released on like modern consoles, like HD Remaster. It's strange. I played the second game a little bit on Xbox. I got it for Xbox, actually, the first Xbox. But it didn't run very, very well on the Xbox with the graphics. It was laggy and so I couldn't enjoy it really.
That's sad.
But yeah, you should re-release it. Why not? It's incredible games.
Yeah, definitely.
Will we ever get Half-Life 3?
No.
And what was that? The one called Alex in VR? What was that story-wise?
Yeah, but that was sort of a prequel and a sequel or something. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I think it was some sort of like a prequel to the second game. But I don't know if the ending somehow tied into something, like promised something for the third installment somehow, some way. It was a time warp or something. I don't know. Just read something for fans. But I don't know if there was some sort of update a couple of weeks ago. Or was it this week? They mentioned something about episode 3, maybe Half-Life. I don't know. Maybe. See it when it happens. But with that modern graphics, absolutely.
Yeah. Other than that, nothing really comes to mind that we haven't talked about yet.
As you said, if it's something different game that we also would like remastered off. I really, now with Silent Hill 2, it would be incredible if they go back and do number 1 again. Silent Hill 1 is on PlayStation 1. It's still scary, it has this special feeling, also limited by the graphics. I mean, the famous fog in Silent Hill is because the PlayStation couldn't render the town, so they just added fog to the environments instead.
That's so clever.
It's so clever. It's a staple of the series now. It's so cool. But that would be really cool also to see. Hopefully now the second game remake has been successful. So here's hoping.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm thinking, Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. It almost felt like, but now what I'm thinking, Shredder's Revenge was not a remake of that. It was a completely different game. With Nickelodeon as one of the publishers?
Yeah, I think they have the rights now, for Turtles, But that was a very good game.
Yeah, I did love it.
Yeah.
It almost confused me, this is a remake. No, it's not.
But that was a remake to make the gamers feel the way they felt when they played Turtles in Time for the first time. That sort of arcade feeling with multiplayer. Really good. Even got all the old voice actors back who made the turtle voices, and they're like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're in their 50s or 60s. They're actors now. So cowabunga, dude. They're very old, and but it's cool. I mean, I prefer that to having new voice actors. I think it's cool when you get the old actors back.
Oh, yeah. We did actually mention, or did you mention that Metroid Prime games 1 through 3? And I just remembered they were last released on the, Switch got a remastered of the first game.
Yeah, it was a very good
It was
remaster.
amazing.
Really good.
Really good.
But I feel like, the Wii versions of those games, the third one is only a Wii game, but the first two are available for GameCube as well. And well, those games are great. I feel like they would really do great in a VR kind of a setting where where you could aim with your hand pointing.
Yeah,
that would be so amazing.
Really, really cool.
Yeah. So I would really love it for more of a functioning kind of a Joy-Con kind of a feel on the upcoming Switch.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo will go into VR like that, but it would be so cool to have like that Samus, visor in front of you, just checking all the status and stuff like that. Because, I mean, not many games have made that good leap into 3D from 2D, and just keeping that sort of feeling and just using first person like that, like with this, you're in this suit and you feel it, and you have like the visor you can get foggy and it can like broken, and it's so cool. It's such a cool idea. It's perfectly like taking what's making the second 2D games work perfect and then transferring it to 3D games. Perfect game. Metroid Prime, masterpiece.
Have they said anything about the Metroid Prime 4? Will be released 2025 or 2026?
Yeah, the one beyond something.
Yeah, am I misremembering that they have said?
They have said a release year.
Yeah, and there's a short trailer for it, and it looks very cool. Very cool. But I think it will be a Switch 2 release game, a flagship game. I think so. I think you can probably get it to Switch 1 as well, but if they're smart, they will wait and release it for Switch 2. Yeah, because people will buy it day one if it's released with Switch 2. Absolutely. Definitely. Totally getting it day one myself. So.
Definitely. And then I'm thinking about, did you play that game Other M, a Metroid game, for the Wii? Where you would have the Wiimote played sideways. Yeah. So you would have the directional pad resting on your left thumb, and on the right thumb you would have the 1 and 2 buttons, so it resembles like a NES controller, and the B button you would have, like a trigger function awkwardly placed on was it your longest finger in your hand? You would press it like an upward motion.
Yeah.
I just remember that game. It was played okay, but because of the fact that Team Ninja developed that game and they added a voice for Samus. Yeah. It was okay. Visually, it looked nice. Yeah. But it didn't have the Metroid feel.
No, it was very different. I know many Metroid fans hate that game. I actually completed it. I think 100% of it. Yeah, but I didn't like the story was so unnecessary because it was a very story-heavy game as well, with all the dialogue and cinematics, and you don't need that in a Metroid game. You just need the feeling of this isolation. You're exploring this world in space and like the alien feel to everything. Yeah. So it was a departure, sort of experiment that didn't completely work, I think. I think it's more fun to play than people give it credit for, but just with the story and the voice acting, it's not very good.
Yeah, so, exactly. I feel like it would just be so amazing if they could make it like a remake, either from the SNES graphics or the Game Advance graphics. Even the graphics, I love the graphics that they had with Dread.
Yeah, Metroid Dread. That looks incredible.
So that would just be amazing, because then I would easily rebuy it just to experience it once. Yeah, it was so amazing.
We could take a whole episode here just talking about Metroid games. It sounds like so many good games. Dread was incredible. Yeah.
Definitely. One aspect that we haven't really talked about a lot regarding this entire category of things, when it comes to the sound quality and experiences, would you say that a remaster can make a certain game sound a lot more better compared to an original?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that was speaking of Silent Hill 2 remake, but because the original is so famous for the soundtrack and the sound of every creature, of every thing about that town, but they really just improved that. They kept the original sound effects, but also improved upon them, so you also get something new. Like these nurse creatures sound way worse in the remake. In a good way, you're horrified by them, but it's screams and something almost gnawing at you, and so that game really improves on the original. So I think it's important also to keep that. Speaking of that horrible Metal Gear Twin Snake remake of the first, because the soundtrack in the original Metal Gear is so iconic, these dark choirs in the background, and it's very this moody feeling, and when you replace that just with strange synth music, what are you thinking? You're losing the identity of the original game. So it's important that it's keeping in the same spirit of the original, I think, when you're making a remake. Also with the Final Fantasy Rebirth and remake, I mean, they replaced Nobuo Matsu's music with something else, like what the hell are you doing? Like it would be crazy. So it's important, but at the same time, it's very cool to hear like new sound effects and improved soundtrack with orchestra or like choir or something like that. For Rebirth has an incredible soundtrack, really.
Definitely, I was blown away several times by that one.
Oh yeah, so good soundtrack.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Link's Awakening. You played on the Switch.
Oh
Remaster. What did you think of it? That's also one of my Game Boy childhood games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just remember I did play the original 2 or 3 times, and it was okay because of the hardware limitations. I never really loved any Game Boy game, but it was a Zelda game, so I fought myself through it and I did somewhat enjoy it. But then with the Switch remake, it became a masterpiece in my experience.
Yeah. So good. I just like the style of it, like this cute, look like clay figures or something, like craft things. It looks so nice and cozy, and they improved. Still keeping the same soundtrack, but with more with strings and very cool soundtrack. One of the if it's Temple 7 or 6 or something, you have a mix of the Game Boy 8-bit sound with newer, more darker choirs and stuff like that in the background. Very interesting soundtrack in that game. And also with the added animatic sequences, they could do more here, of course, on the Game Boy. And it's such a good game. All the temples are so much fun in that game. I really like the design of the temples.
Well designed.
Yeah.
It was in I learned the hard way that actually in the original Game Boy version, in the 7th temple, if you pick the small keys in the wrong order or open the doors in the wrong order, you can hard lock yourself out.
Oh no!
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
so
bad.
To me, though.
It happened to me.
Oh, man.
Luckily, it was when the Club Nintendo still existed, so you could call their hotline. So, what am I supposed to do? I've tried everything. So, sorry, there's a bug in this game, so you chose the wrong door. So what do I do? So, you start over.
That's life, basically. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing with remakes and remaster. They can actually fix the bugs in it. Yeah. One fun thing I played a lot this autumn. I played the Castlevania collection, this Dominus collection with the 3D, the DS games.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Incredible Castlevania games, Metroidvania style games, top recommendation. But they actually added, because they fixed all the bugs in them, and the speedrunners hated it because they used bugs here and there. So they added a patch 2 weeks later that included the bugs just for the speedrunners. So if you patch it now, you can get the bugs. I mean, you have to look for them. You don't stumble upon them like if you're playing them normally. Okay. You have to know where they are, these hardcore speedrunners, Yeah. But it's such a fun thing that they had to add it afterwards to go back. They want the bugs. Let's add them back. So it's
Oh yeah. There is this one game that comes to mind right now, and we haven't talked about Halo 2.
Halo 2,
and it's just so amazing because Halo 2 released for the original Xbox. For its time, it was iconic.
Yeah.
And I just think that game, I did not really play it when it was a new game. I played it the first time when it was released in the Master Chief Collection on the Xbox One. And then somewhat later, when the Xbox Series X had been released, I believe there was a 4K overhaul update available for the game. And you could, with one button, switch between the old visuals and the new ones.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was such a jump in real time.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing experience just to go back and forth. And obviously, I never chose to play with the old ones, but it was very interesting to see.
It's a cool feature, I think.
Yeah, that's really because you can really see the difference.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there was that.
That's the way of honoring the original game. You get it with it as well. You can just push a button if you want to play the old style one instead.
Exactly.
It's super cool.
Exactly. So that's all the things that I got to think of in this episode, I think.
think so for me too.
Same.
Yeah. So, but it's an interesting topic, and it's very like relevant today. So many remakes, as we said, now coming, and people getting tired of them. But I think if it's redone in a good way, like this Silent Hill 2, just keep them coming. Like let it cook, do it well, release it when it's totally finished. So yeah,
more Silent Hill, less Dark Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. That's the lesson for today.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, thank you everyone who's listening to our channel, and we've grown quite a bit since our last episode with more followers. So it's welcome everyone. So nice to have you here. And what are your favorite remasters or remakes or demakes? Or let us know in the comments below, and we will talk to you again soon. We don't know the subject yet. We have a couple of things in mind we're going to talk about next time. See what happens. Yeah. Okay, John, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. As always, it's always an honor, and I love talking about things, and it's so amazing, and it's also very good to know that we have listeners who enjoy to follow our channel and to listen to our content and hear us ramble.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's very fun to talk about one of your biggest hobbies in a way.
Yeah,
so
definitely. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.